Well, hi everyone, and greetings from Northern Michigan. This is Bob the Science Guy. You know, one of the things that really interests me about the Flat Earth movement is some of the questions that they ask, because they make me start to think back to my middle school, high school, and college education. One of these questions is, well, I can't feel the Earth moving under me. How can you prove to me that it's rotating? Now, I obviously like the rotating Earth. It's in the background right here, sped up over 700 times. So when Ranty Flat Earth and I spoke about appearing on his new series, he asked me to come up with a good idea for a video that I could present, and I decided to go ahead and show the demonstrations of how we can tell the Earth is rotating. So I hope you enjoy it. The first thing that I thought I would talk about would be sunrise and sunset, dusk and dawn. What evidence does this give us that we are on a rotating spherical Earth versus a flat stationary Earth with the sun moving overhead? Now let's start off with this photograph right here. This is we'll say it's a sunset. There's a couple of things that you can note with this. First, we're looking out over water. Second of all, the sun is halfway under the horizon. And third, the bottoms of the clouds are lit up. Now, demonstrating the exact same principle is this shot of Mount Rainier in Washington State in the United States. You can clearly see where the sun is in the mid portion of the photograph on the left. Mount Rainier is casting a shadow upward onto the base of the clouds above it, and of course the clouds are lit from the underside as well.
Like most, Bob had to read a lot of pseudoscience at school that Bob chooses to believe. That is why he uses unapproachable objects in the sky to tell you the shape of the Earth. Nobody knows what the sun or any other celestial body are, except that they are lights in the sky. All Bob knows about the heavenly is what he trusts other people with some fancy titles have written about it. And it is all just guessworks and assumptions. You can visit his channel and ask him. He will point to his education. But he has never ever been out in space to scientifically investigate what he has read or been educated to believe. Or perhaps he will block you and never answer your questions. I guess it depends on how he can grease his way out by his so-called knowledge.
Now, our observations of the sun in the east and west directions suggested a curved surface of the Earth which was rotating relative to the position of the sun above it. Let's turn our attention 90 degrees to the north and have a look at the northern celestial pole. This is a shot from the northern hemisphere. You can see the star trails are rotating in a counterclockwise manner around Polaris, which is at the center of the circle there and is stationary. This could work on a flat, round Earth that was rotating about the North Star. However, we do have a problem. And that problem is the southern celestial pole, which is seen here. Notice that the star trails are moving in a clockwise direction, opposite what we see in the northern hemisphere, rotating about an empty space called Cygnus Octaris, which is the southern celestial pole. There is no rotational geometry that will allow a rotating flat Earth to create both a northern and a southern celestial pole. The fact that there is a north and a south celestial pole with the stars rotating around it, and that we cannot see Polaris from the southern hemisphere nor the Southern Cross from the northern hemisphere, confirms that the surface of the Earth curves.
No, Bob, as said before, the stars do not help you to decide what shape the Earth has. And I have made contact at your channel, asking for your explanation of what we see regarding the star trails at the equator. Bob's science says that it is the Earth's rotation that makes the sky rotate. Now look at the counterclockwise motion of the sky at the equator. Is the physical Earth south of the equator rotating counterclockwise from the northern part? Meaning, are the southern continents moving in the opposite direction of the northern continents as the Earth rotate? No, of course not. The only logic explanation is that it is the sky that is rotating above the Earth while the Earth is stationary.
In the north-south direction, here's an illustration of the problem. If you have a round, flat Earth, as pictured here, with a dome over it, and you rotate that dome, you can reproduce the star trails we see over the northern hemisphere, centered about the North Star. However, if you were at any location in the southern hemisphere and you looked south, you would see exactly the same stars, even though you may be on opposite sides of that disk. That presents a major problem. Let's illustrate that problem with this short animation from Josh Lays, and then see how a north-south curve in the surface of the Earth and a spherical Earth elegantly solves it.
I think your demonstration turns out to be invalid. Unless you can show us where the Earth is split, so that the northern land and the southern land can rotate counterclockwise related to the equator.